News this week in the effort to bring light rail transit to the Northwest Metro. We talked about the latest developments with Hennepin County Commissioner for District 1, Jeff Lunde.
This week they dropped the new draft alignment, which is just, we moved through stages, so we moved it to 5%, which basically says we believe this route is viable, and now we have to kick off a whole bunch of work, including environmental assessments, ridership, engineering, a lot more details, I think, at this point. It'll go through North Minneapolis on West Broadway. Before, it was going to go through Theodore Wirth Park. And so now we're going through North Minneapolis. Our ridership numbers should actually increase because we're now serving a greater population. Still a ton amount of details, additional stop in Robbinsdale as well at North Memorial. Over the next 12 to 18 months, we will be doing a bunch of different steps. Environmental assessment, which is a very required process, goes through, make sure there's no mitigations, or if there's things identified, you have to figure out plans to mitigate them. We have to actually figure out where the stops go. Is there going to be center lane in Robbinsdale? Is it going to be one side or the other? Those are the kind of things we have to go through. Very specific on the crossings. Are we going to account for other pedestrian crossings that are impacted? Do we have to talk about pedestrian bridges? Because, you look at 81, it is a wide road. It's not safe. No one during last year's engagement that we did over 30 meetings in Robbinsdale, said, nope, 81's great. I love crossing it as a pedestrian. So we know there's lots of improvement that needs to be done, not just at the stops. Well, I think what happens is you kind of start narrowing in. Where is the stop? Is it going to be 40th, 41st, 42nd? You figure out that. Okay, now we have to figure out the pedestrian crossings, the at grade, how do things change, the timing of the lights. Also, going my experience as mayor of Brooklyn Park, there's a lot of stuff that got worked into the system that reflected local concerns, especially pedestrian crossings, and how are we going to time things out. If you don't engage, and you have a really great idea, it's not going to get in the system. So you need to engage, let us know. There's still going to be a vote. There still has to go before the Robbinsdale, Crystal, Brooklyn Park, Minneapolis councils all have to provide approval, and the county, because it's all on county road. It is 100%. So this is the moment to get involved. If you sit back and say, I don't care, ID will never get added. So you need to engage and provide those. And especially if you want to see pedestrian improvements done, especially in Robbinsdale, up and down that crossing, this is that moment to do that. And we're going to keep engaging with people.
If one of those cities doesn't give municipal consent, what happens?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. So I think what we do is we work toward consent, and we try to identify what needs to be done. I think Crystal, when they did their municipal consent, they did we're not saying yes, we're not saying no, but they still laid out what factors needed to be addressed, and so we'll work through that and hit that.
The hope is that we could actually see shovels in the ground 5 years, maybe?
Yeah, I'm hoping. 3 or 4, we've got the funding from the state side is actually paid for by the county. We've got the process at the feds, they keep track, and they're continuing to move our process forward.
Find more local news stories at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.